In this video, I'm going to show you how I simulated the investment philosophy and thesis of the largest sovereign wealth fund in the world. And that's the Norges Investment Bank Fund. For most of you watching this video, you may have heard of Norges Investment Bank Fund, but they're a really successful sovereign wealth fund, the largest in the world, like I said, led by Nicolai Tangen. And this is the sovereign wealth fund of the Norwegian government. And we'll just quickly look at their website here. But, it really started with a pile of oil that they found in 1969. And they used a lot of the funds, a lot of the proceeds from that oil discovery to start the fund in 1996. And this is what the growth has looked like. I mean, this is truly incredible. From 1998 all the way to 2025. They're a globally diversified fund. And I wanted to create this video because they've made some interesting changes in the last few months, considering the new geopolitical changes around the world. And, they've moved from a traditional passive index fund into more of an actively managed portfolio. Not completely, but they've made some strategic changes. And so I thought it'd be a cool video to make for U.S. investors, U.S. institutional, firms, companies that want to offer a more globally diversified portfolio to their U.S. investors, to their U.S. clients. And, why not just simulate a fund that has had tremendous success by diversifying across the world, learn a lesson or two, and see how you can apply your own fund's thesis, merge it together with Norges, get some ideas, and develop a pretty robust portfolio for your clients. So this is just an idea that came to mind. And I trained an agent, and we'll look into those agentic instructions too. It's really important to look into those agentic instructions because I want to show you how this output was delivered. But you can see in this prompt, I trained the agent, wrote the instructions for the agent, and this is the prompt I asked it to write. Can you create a document for a fictitious family office called Wealth.io? The document should produce a Norges-style globally diversified plan for high net worth individuals with 1 million in asset allocation for domestic and international diversification. Make the document look and feel like a BlackRock style document. So I gave it some styling instructions too. And I can definitely say that Claude has improved even with its design. You can see on the right, it crunched through the numbers, looked at my 1 million asset allocation, and created a presentation document for a client. Annual returns, portfolio volatility, the Sharpe ratio, and the global exposure is all clearly identified in this document. Strategic asset allocation, equity fixed, 72% in equity allocation, 28% in fixed income and alternatives, and an implementation portfolio too. And I think you can also verify these data points because I gave instructions to pull from live data, right? Now, of course, you definitely want to be able to check this data against your own terminal and just make sure that all the numbers correlate and it makes sense. But because these AI systems like Claude have native web search built in, and because all of the investments are open sourced by the fund, it's a little bit more simpler to retrieve those funds, to retrieve what works, and present it in the way I presented it here. Risk management framework, rebalancing protocol, an implementation roadmap. This is with a basic prompt, right? So remember, I would consider this to be a basic prompt because it just says that the client has 1 million in asset allocation and create a portfolio, right? But there's definitely more instructions that you can give it, like the client's risk appetite and their investment horizon, all those other things, right? So this is just a basic prompt, but I was pretty blown away by what the AI outputted, right? Okay, so let's quickly look at the instructions. Okay, so that's where the juice really is, where the meat really is, right? I've given it a PDF of the fund's origination, the philosophy, Nicolai Tangen's leadership style. All of that is really important for an agent to kind of develop a way of thinking about how to respond to your responses, right? So let's look at the instructions here, right? So this is a multi-agent framework in the sense of workflow. I would still argue that it's more of a workflow than it is a multi-agent framework because we're just using this inside Claude. And it's not using several agents at the same time, but it is functioning like that, right? Within Claude. I would argue it's more of a workflow than it is a multi-agent framework. It's agentic in the sense that it can retrieve live web search and it's dynamic in that. It can, produce financial reports for you, and so it can go off and accomplish those tasks inside Claude. And then you can take the HTML code and turn it into a PDF. I'll show you how I did that too. But okay, so we give it a role. So we have a supervisor agent, right? The supervisor agent is kind of like the master agent and, kind of delegates out tasks to the other sub-agents that go off and do different tasks, right? In this case, the supervisor agent is really Nikolai Tangen's strategic vision. And here are some core important essentials about his investment philosophy and his values, right? And this is not comprehensive, but it just gives you an idea of what's going on here, right? Now, here is what I think is extremely important to understand, right? I'm going really high level here with this one because the Norwegian Parliament is the one that set the ethical guidelines and framework for the fund. Remember, this is a sovereign wealth fund, right? So the Norwegian Parliament set that base level of ground values and, the framework that the fund should follow. And then the Ministry of Finance institutes the mandate and the benchmarks that the fund should optimize for, right? So this is like, you've got to look, while I was thinking about how I would simulate this investment thesis, it became really clear that I should go to that foundational layer and look at, the ethical guidelines, look at the executive board, what kind of strategy and risk parameters is it using? And then, of course, like really importantly, how is the CEO thinking? Like Nikolai Tangen's execution strategy, active decisions. Think about how you can simulate your own firm's investment philosophy, just getting ideas from this, right? Not every fund in the world is thinking about global diversification, but maybe you are. But at least this is an idea for how you can think about, hey, I run a fund or a family office, an RIA, a VC fund, a private equity, whatever that is. Being able to, take your thesis and democratize your thesis in a way so that every associate, everybody in the firm has access to the same knowledge can be pretty powerful, right? So everybody's on board. And then you have investment teams. Okay, so you have the core operating system, right? Now the constraints are really important, right? This is important for an agent to have. An agent should have constraints. An agent should know that there are certain hard-coded parameters that it should always abide by, right? And so these are the Ministry of Finance constraints. You're 70% equity, 30% fixed, right? So you have that base level allocation strategy, and how you go about executing that, it's up to the fund, it's up to Nikolai Tangen to execute on it, right? But the core mandate comes from the Ministry of Finance. The ethical guidelines and the framework comes from the Parliament. Pretty cool stuff. I think governments around the world should take a lesson or two from Norway. But yeah, political influence recognition, Tangen leadership dynamics. There's a lot of details here to look at, and a lot of instructions that I've been given to make sure that the agent is very specific in the way it runs its different workflows and tasks. But it's essentially a bunch of Python instructions too, so that it can go and retrieve live web search, real information from the web and return back output. So you have a macro assessment here for investment process simulation. Number one, that's phase one. Phase two is portfolio construction. Phase three, phase three is ESG integration. So that's something that the fund has actively started participating in. I think they've made some of those newer changes even over the last 7-8 months. There's lots of comments to be made about the different geopolitical decisions they've made, like backing out of several Middle Eastern funds, Middle Eastern companies because of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. So they've done that, and they've kind of doubled down more on their Asian portfolios, on their Asian companies, and gone and got more stock there. So there's a bunch of changes that have been made. So here's what's important: dynamic response protocols, right? This is really important, right? Look at this. When users ask questions, respond as NBIM would for what should I invest in, current market positioning, as of date the fund maintains. So it as of like, if you were to go next week and ask this agent, what should I invest in? It's going to pull live data as of that week, right? You want the agent to go and pull and accurately retrieve that data and give you the response that you need. Okay, so you have this given your investor profile. So it has that in delimiter, so you can give your investment profile to the agent. Yeah, I mean, there's so much to go. You have financial planning integration. So I did add that extra bit there, which is, call it a wealth management mode. But yeah, real-time adaptation layer. So there's so much details here for to go through. Output personality and communication style. When speaking as NBIM, use we to represent institutional view. Now all of this can be customized. Just imagine taking this instructions, merging it with your firm's thesis, and then creating something that's more personalized. Maybe you want to borrow some ideas from here, right? Investment thesis, risk factors, your consideration, ESG note, ethical boundaries. There's a lot of instructions going on here, but I think the last piece is where I wanted to like stress on a little bit as we finish off this video. But you want the AI to embody these personas as much as possible, and prompt engineering is still an important piece of this, right? For folks who think that prompt engineering is not relevant anymore, that's not true. You still need to know how to instruct these agents to get the best output from it. Agents don't go off into the wild and get stuff done without instructions and tasks and evaluations and all those different things. And a lot of those movements, I would say, or AI, a lot of those functions and tasks are not magically done by just an API call. Those are agentic instructions that are tested, iterated, and sent to production. So yeah, I mean, like if you're concerned about using actual client data in workflows like this, let me suggest that you ought to find a way to create synthetic data and test out these tools, right? If you're worried, I don't want to take client data and try to create like a globally diversified portfolio inside Claude, totally get that. But you can create synthetic data that simulates some of your, current client, simulate some of your client portfolios, maybe not all of it, but some of it. So that's something to look into. All right, so what I did was I really like this presentation. Just think of the time it would take to create a presentation like this. So I downloaded it as a HTML file and then converted it to a PDF, which is pretty cool. So I have a nice PDF here, a BlackRock style document, but it's pretty nice, does the job, and I am off to the chases, right? I can just do a lot more now with these tools. So yeah, there you go. That's a quick video there. If you liked watching this video, please do like and subscribe. I will continue to publish more videos like this every week. And click on the link in the description to access my LinkedIn newsletter, where I'm going to open source this prompt. I'm just going to make this prompt available for all of you watching. And if you want to use it, test it out. And you're probably going to get some ideas for your own fund, to be honest. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.